Today is Wednesday, July 11th, and this is another meeting of the Economic Development Committee. So what we're going to do today is we actually have some guests visiting with us, and we also have a new member. So before we get to the actual committee stuff, I'm going to actually go to the guest first, and then we'll handle the committee stuff after that. So I want to thank you guys. CMRPC is here, and if you guys want to introduce yourselves, and then we can jump into it.
Sure. Hi there. Thanks for having us here tonight. Really appreciate the time. So I'm Dominique Dutremble. I am from the Central Massachusetts Regional Planning Agency, which is the designated regional planning agency for Douglas and 39 other nearby communities. This is my colleague, Chris Bennett.
Hi, Chris Bennett, also CMRPC. Planning technician, so I'm still relatively new to the company, but I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. So I think there's been some ongoing activity. I know we had Ron from last year that we had a assessment done, inventory, and some other things, and I know that this was now, I think, the follow-up to a lot of that. So just to give everybody an update, there was a meeting that you guys had with Bill Cundiff, I think, and Carol, I think you were there, and was Matt, I think Matt was probably there from the town manager. And that led us to this conversation where Bill said that you guys were interested in coming back and discussing things with EDC again. So
Absolutely.
That's what we're here for, is an open conversation and finding out what maybe some of the next steps are that we can start on.
Wonderful. So I took a look at phase one, the asset inventory that Ron put together for you guys. I've given it a pretty close look, except for some of the appendices. However, we did spend the last hour and a half going out to as many sites as we could fit in this afternoon and touring those sites. So we saw a handful at least.
Yeah, about 5, 6.
Yeah. So building on that asset inventory, I think it was envisioned as a three-phase project in order to get you to a comprehensive economic development plan. So this second phase, as developed, was sort of, it was a couple of things. It's largely community visioning, some stakeholder group interviews, and analyses of municipal processes, procedures, regulations, zoning, things like that. So I've been brought on to primarily help with the community engagement, the group stakeholder interviews, and the municipal process analyses. Chris will be my partner on the project. Ron, who we worked with last year, he will be doing the zoning since he's more familiar and that's his area of expertise.
Okay.
But I'll be contributing to that as well. So initially, based on the asset inventory and the recommendations that Ron put together, it lists a series of 3 meetings, I think. So it lists to gather information and solicit input and feedback from the public. The first one was commercial business owners, so local business owners and people with strong presence in town in terms of commercial activity. The second one was commercial developers, commercial real estate brokers, and I think the third was commercial developers. So I took a look at that, and I have some suggestions that I'd like to toss out on perhaps how we can proceed and what, based on my experience, might streamline things and make more sense. So assuming you're amenable, I sort of envisioned 3 meetings. One that's business owners, developers, brokers, and the chamber. So that'll bring together a series of different voices, all who have interest in commercial activity in a different
So it's business focused with the EDC tied to that?
Exactly.
Okay.
The second meeting that I envision is with municipal staff, which is not something that was scoped. So in my experience, it's been really nice to pair a meeting of the business interests, complement that with a group interview of municipal staff to see how their perspectives are bouncing off of each other. Sometimes towns think they're extremely business friendly, and the staff think that all of the processes are working and at least as well as they possibly can, and the commercial interests have a very different perspective. So I'd like, if you were interested, I'd like to take those 2 separately.
Yeah, we do not want to mix those. If we did, then we don't.
And then a third, I envision as a community visioning process. So for the residents and public, so broad outreach, more of a public forum than a small group interview setting. So completely separate from the other 2, which could be shorter, done back to back.
Is this one you would drive interest for and you would kind of coordinate, or is this one that we would have to coordinate, get interest for, and you guys would help drive it?
It would need to be a collaboration for sure. Yep. Given the budget, I know we can't do deep public outreach to get people there, so we would need to figure out a strategy on who we want to outreach to and how to do it. I had a format that worked really nicely that I did in Northbridge a couple of years ago, maybe a year ago. We had a community visioning process, and we had pretty good turnout, and we had 4 breakout groups that each touched on a different topic, and the participants, the residents and public who attended, had about 20 minutes to sit in on each session to weigh in on a different aspect of the town and the development and their vision. And I thought that worked really, really well.
How many people did you have at that meeting?
I think we had about 20. So I think
20 out of the entire Northbridge community then?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think 4 might be a little much. It was a little much, but I think reducing it a little bit, maybe to three types.
Depending on how much advance notice we get, I think we can probably beat 20, depending on which forums we reach out to. There's been some vocal people in the past 6 months. We've done the override, and we've done some other things that have driven some interest. So I just want to make a point, if it was 20 people, I don't think it would be that bad to do that format. If we do get anywhere north of 40 or 50 to organize that and to start doing breakout groups and stuff, just feels a little cumbersome.
That does feel cumbersome.
So I'm just letting you know, it depends on interest levels and where we actually end up with it.
That sounds good. We can certainly be flexible and see what works
Yep.
best for you guys. So that's my high-level thoughts on what I think would work for you. I have it sort of written out.
Perfect.
You've got a copy. So it just lists the 3 meetings, and it's front and back.
Thank you very much.
Now, in particular, the meeting with municipal staff after the business owners will set us up to not only incorporate this feedback into the plan, but also to do the separate constraints analyses. So I think that'll be very, very helpful to make sure we meet that target that's in the scope.
Okay. I noticed here potential scheduling dates August through October, question mark obviously. We'll have to figure out what that means. Obviously, probably not July. August might be too soon. Vacations also, so if we do this properly, probably September to October.
Okay.
It's probably going to be the easier time to at least get the 3rd meeting. The first 2 might be different, but to actually get real attendance from community members would have to be after school starts, in my opinion.
Okay.
So, does everybody agree, or?
Yeah, right, August is a little
Yeah.
too soon, but
I imagine that a lot
I tried
of
to shoehorn it into Oktoberfest.
Potentially. That might be too far out, but agreed. I mean, that the time frame when people are in school and we can get them to come around, yeah. But we're all, I think, thinking the same on the backside.
Okay. So I imagine that to put together the form, I agree with you. I think August is probably.
The other 2 maybe by August.
Yeah.
The business owners, we'll have to. That's going to be a tough one. We tried this last year. When did we do it?
We didn't get too many people.
We got 3 businesses, I think, out of the town. So, and we did door to door talking to owners and asking them to show up.
Owners are the hardest people to get
I know,
into a
I know.
room.
So
Owners, developers, brokers.
now,
Yeah,
the question is, do we want to mix all of that in
Yes.
one meeting?
Yes, why not?
You're okay with that? Okay.
Yeah. I think what you ought to reach out to too, is if we could get them to show up, would be engineering firms that do business in town,
That's a good idea.
That's a good one. Yeah. Yep.
you know? Because they do business here, but they also do business in every place else too, and maybe they have some ideas of what works better in other towns
That would actually be a good
than
idea.
here.
So we can augment the first meeting with that.
Absolutely. Now, I know it might be a touchy topic, but do you have a medical marijuana facility that I heard is considering expanding gas to downtown? Is that correct?
That potentially.
There's some
Okay.
talk about.
Yeah, and it's a growing facility, not a dispensary.
Oh, okay.
So a very big difference that we don't have a dispensary in town or on the plan as of yet.
Is there a good relationship between the town officials and that
I don't think so.
facility?
Not anymore?
No.
Okay.
Oh.
I used to be, apparently not anymore. She would know better, she's on other committees.
I
So,
don't think so. You're not particularly happy with us lately. I don't know why. I think they think they got a little too much trouble getting their building permits or something, I don't know.
They actually might be interesting to talk to.
Maybe somebody we should, I would suggest.
Maybe
you
not
get-
part of a bigger meeting, maybe there could be a
Well, no,
one-off
let them
conversation.
come to that meeting, why
Yeah?
not? Let's hash
Okay.
it all out, because you know what, one person says something, another person says.
They
well,
get some pile on.
Yeah, you know,
Okay.
they can get something, I say.
And actually, depending on how it's positioned to the business owners,
Yeah.
it could become a place for them to vent probably a little bit and to be able to express their concerns about the
Some
town.
ideas will come up, a lot of people are
Yeah.
afraid to talk, and then maybe they are, and it's not just a complaint fest, sometimes you get some good ideas.
So let me ask, the expectation for that first meeting, would it be any of the, besides the Economic Development Committee, would you want town manager there? Would you want engineer, Bill, Matt, anybody else, or is it really you, us, and them?
So, okay, so whatever will enable them to feel like they can speak freely.
And I say, don't invite Matt, and we don't invite Bill, and we don't invite other people.
Honestly, we keep it EDC and you.
Yep.
I was just gonna, let's just keep it as non-political. We're not a political group here, so we keep it as non-political as possible.
Okay.
Invite them in and just open feedback. It'll all be recorded anyways. It'll be a full meeting, so.
Do
If that's
they-
an
do
issue,
they-
then let's discuss, but.
So, let's see, one of the last times I did this, it was just my staff and the business owners, and then people from the chambers, et cetera. I wonder, but I wasn't working with the EDC, I was working with the planning board, but I imagine they see you as their advocates. So it's not
I would
going
hope
to-
so. We don't do a ton with them, but that's not a positive or negative here, so hopefully they would at this point.
It might be a good introduction to further cement those relationships if you don't have them yet.
It would be, and we have some new members anyways. We've had some turnover in the past year, so this wouldn't be a bad thing, probably.
If I were a business owner, I don't know if I would speak freely if it were televised. So maybe we could avoid a quorum of the committee,
We could discuss
but
that.
not televised. But
We would
I
have to discuss
defer
that, but
you.
yeah.
Defer
Yep.
you. Okay, so I guess in terms of that first meeting, would you agree with me that it makes sense to start with them? I think.
Yeah,
I think
that's fine to start with. Actually, the first and second are kind of in parallel, I think, so.
We could even do them the same day.
Because the second one isn't going to be one giant meeting, I assume, for all staff. You're probably going to have to go around interviewing people, right?
Well, I was hoping to have the internal dialogue, but where staff are missing, I can certainly follow up.
Okay. And are you planning to get other boards in or just staff? Because there's a big difference. A lot of them are volunteer community members. They're not staff.
I'll have to think about that.
Zoning board, planning
Yeah,
board,
we'll definitely-
conservation committee.
Yeah, we'll definitely need them.
So those aren't considered staff typically, but
Okay.
we'll have to probably do separate
Do you-
meetings for them.
Do you have a town planner,
We have, yeah. Those are the engineer. I think Bill is basically the planner and he's the planner and engineer. You've met Bill.
Yep.
And you got Matt, town manager. Those are really the two leads from that perspective, I would say. After that, and Steve Zisk for conservation agent.
Yeah.
After that, it really is more about community members on boards and committees.
Yeah, regarding the televised part of it, I think we can't get out of it being televised. The
Yeah.
Cable Advisory Commission has got some regulation that all meetings should be televised.
Okay.
We might be able to get out of it, but, and the other thing too is it's good for businesses to get on TV. If it's good public exposure for them.
I'm okay one way or the other, honestly. But you're right. If there's a special regulation I'm not familiar with, then that would be an issue.
Yes, if you read their report, they say every meeting's televised.
And we just let the business owners know. So I bet, by the way, I doubt a ton of people watch the videos. So I'm not too worried about it.
Now, taking a step back, so as has been relayed to me, best practices are to facilitate group dialogue and not have anybody's voice drowned out and not have people get lost and silenced in a big crowd. Is about 3 to 7 people, somewhere in that range. So that
3 to 7 for what?
for those group stakeholder interviews. So that would be my hope, would be to come
Not for number 1. You're talking about number 2.
1 and 2 each.
Oh, so only about 7-ish business owners to show up, and then 7 developers and 7 brokers. So you're up into the 30s, or you just want 7 flat for
About
everybody?
7 flat.
Is there 7 people in this meeting? What good is that?
Yeah, you're gonna want this to be larger, I would think.
We'll be lucky if we get 7, but
I was gonna say,
From
you
the
might
other
be
point of
fine
view.
in the end, but
might be fine in the end.
I
but-
think that, yeah, I don't know.
I think the concept behind that would be more if you're in a more comfortable, closed-packed environment, you're more willing to speak up as opposed to being in a crowded environment where you might not want to give your 2 cents on the matter because there's so many other
Oh,
people
not
around.
necessarily. It could be safety in numbers, too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say, they can go mob mentality on you.
People aren't shy.
I haven't seen them go badly. I mean, I haven't
That's
seen.
good.
So,
Right. Oh,
I'm not worried about this one going badly either, but
so I mean, if you,
I would think I'd probably want to, we don't have that many businesses in town. It's not like if we invited every single business and developer in town, we'd probably end up with 10 people max, if that. So,
see how many we can
yeah,
get.
I know, we don't have.
That's the problem.
no, I know that's the problem, but that's the reality I think that we're living in right now. So I want to give them all a chance. I wouldn't want to leave one out.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
There's some apathy, some may not.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna have to worry about being overwhelmed.
No, I don't think
We want- we
And
want-
even when we had the 3 people that showed up and we invited every business in town,
Yeah.
they weren't super vocal. We had to really kind of pull it out of them. So I think it will be, I don't think you'll have a problem.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. So we will put the broad notice out there and see how many people we can get to participate.
And
it
if we have
seems
to
like
do what
enough
we did
people-
last time, we can go door to door. It wasn't that bad. We basically walked Main Street, and then we had a few other places we went, but Rydell and stuff. But
I would definitely want to see the people from as much as I'm not thrilled about this marijuana business.
no, have them show
I
them up.
would definitely want to see them here, because it's going to be a big business, and they are looking at bringing gas up from Whitensville.
That's
so-
what yeah.
Unfortunately, it's not going to get right here to the center of town, but at least it's
beginning
going
of
to
it.
be closer than, it's going to be 4 miles closer than it was before.
Yeah.
And I want to see some of our good businesses like GBI and,
Yeah,
the insurance companies.
right.
The new vet also.
The new vet,
There's
yeah.
people that would be interesting to have them show up, and especially somebody that opened a business, the farm. People that opened a business in the past 2 or 3 years that have the most experience probably with our current processes. That would probably be really valuable at this point.
Okay.
Marijuana seems to be the golden jewel right now. Look at Charlton,
Yeah.
$2 million in tax revenue.
Oh, I know. Milford has stuff going in too, so yeah.
So how should we proceed in terms of moving forward? Should we?
Do you
set
have a list of all
target date?
businesses?
I do. I don't think I.
Was that part of the
do.
inventory? I don't
I
remember.
don't think it's part of the inventory. I have a list of all commercial and industrial property, but that is different than all businesses.
Did we have a listing? I think we did. We had one back when I started originally.
Yeah, I think we've got them in the file someplace.
Okay, so we have an older list, not that old, by the way, it doesn't change that much, but let's see if we can pull something up.
You know, maybe we did something like this. I was the interim economic development coordinator for the town of Southborough, and we worked with the assessor's office, and they were able
That's
to
what we did
sort-
last time.
yeah.
That's exactly what we did. And we went to her and she gave us the list and we
The
parsed
town-
it out.
Town clerk too sometimes have business, business
Yeah, Chris would probably have it,
licenses.
too.
They have business licenses.
Okay. We'll be able to help you on that one.
Right.
So,
Would you like to set a target date for the first meeting?
well,
Something
we
work
technically
towards.
only meet once a month as the EDC, which means that we have to get things situated now. Unless we actually plan it after our next meeting, which is the first week in August, roughly.
Is that a rule that we only meet once a month?
Nope, it's not. We did twice a month for about a year, and we just felt like it just wasn't doing what we needed it to do, so we went back to once a month.
Right,
We could probably get back to twice a month. I just don't think the summer is usually the best time to get back to twice a
We
month.
could get back to twice in 1 month. It doesn't have to be every month.
If we have to, but at this point, the beginning of August is not that far away also, because we're meeting later in July. So I think if we target mid-ish August, the second half of August, say it like that, that would get us time between now and the next meeting to get some of our ducks in a row, have another meeting to make sure that things are moving forward, and then be able to get you that meeting probably. Does that work for you guys? Sound about right?
Well, you could probably set a meeting date now, right?
That's what I'm thinking. So
Yes.
around second half of August.
Okay.
If we aim at that, the week of the 20th.
With these folks.
No, we have another EDC meeting. We'll invite them back for our first, our August EDC meeting for an
Right.
update.
Right.
And then we'll have a CMRPC with the business owner meeting the second half of August.
Well, you think you'll get people in August? That was the problem that we had. We didn't know if people were going to be on vacations.
So we
and
want to
stuff.
see what the response is? We want to test it out, and then if we have to, we push it out? Again, this is why I'm thinking if we have another EDC meeting, let's see what the responses are between now and the next EDC meeting, if we can set a date and start socializing it over the next 3 to 4 weeks. Unless we want to wait 2 months.
Well, I thought the business
I think we should
meeting
wait.
was going to be September, October.
The community meeting was going to be September, October.
I'm happy to do all of them, September, October.
If we want to, I'm fine with that. I have no problem with that, by the way.
I think September, October for these.
So I'll ask, let's put it for a vote. Sorry, I'll do it the official way. All in favor of doing it in September?
I am.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there we go, majority rules. So now a date. Let's aim middle of September. Everybody's pulling up their calendars, I'm sure, right now.
19th?
What day is that?
It's a Wednesday.
I think Wednesday probably works the best for middle of the week. I'm okay with that.
What's nice about Wednesday is too, there's not a lot of groups
just the
meeting
planning-
in
the zoning
town
board is the
hall.
only
Yeah,
one that meets
yeah,
here.
Otherwise, you get some of the other days.
I want to move our meetings to actually the 19th officially. I mean, 19th to Wednesdays. I would say, yeah, 19th sounds like a good target date.
Okay.
People are in school, businesses should be full bore.
Are we still Mondays?
No, we did shift to Thursdays. I want to shift us back to Wednesdays, actually. I think that works out best for Matt and everybody else. Okay. 19th? Yay, nay?
Yeah.
Everybody's good? 19th it is.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And that's going to be the business owner meeting.
Yes.
So why don't we just go out there and let's figure out when the community meeting should be at this point, since we're in calendars.
The community meeting, we're talking about the workers in town hall and stuff. That's what we're
No,
talking
community is after, that's a staff meeting.
Back page.
This is getting actual community members of just residents
about. Residents, okay.
to come in and voice. It's probably, this room might be fine. If there's a bigger turnout, we'd have to move somewhere else, but right now this is probably fine.
Yeah.
I do have a
Yeah.
question, taking
Yeah.
a step back, just very briefly.
Go for it.
For the municipal staff meeting, do you think that the municipal staff will, do you think they'll speak openly and honestly with the EDC in the room?
Hey, I think,
Oh, yeah, they're fine, yeah.
Okay.
sure, we get along with
We're not in the middle of most politics, and there's not a lot of politics in the town like that, so we're okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good or bad, yes.
All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to take us off of the.
No, that's a good
visioning
question.
session.
No.
Are we going to get them to come out?
Well, that's the problem is I think the only way to pull it off is during the day when everybody is here and see if we can
Yeah.
pull them out of their offices for like a half hour. And then even then it might be more interviews, kind of like office by like health department, building department, just grabbing
Still
groups.
flying?
Retired.
You retired? Oh, okay.
So I know you want to do a bigger one. I think it might be easier to do like smaller interviews, but I'll leave that up to you how you want to do it and we'll try to coordinate it.
Okay.
And if it is during the day, I don't know if we're going to have a majority of us here anyways.
Well,
Actually, we got two
I think
retirees now, so I just
Yeah.
heard. So,
We got
so we're
three.
working.
Bob said
and-
he's retired too.
all three.
Yeah,
Okay.
three of us.
We'll have people here,
Okay.
one way or the other.
So you were setting a date for the community visioning session.
Yes. If we go to October. Okay. I know I'm away actually for a good chunk of October, so this might be without me, which doesn't matter. You want to aim for the 10th or the 17th?
Why don't we go for the 3rd?
You want to aim, that first Monday? I'm here for that. That would work for me.
I'll be on
Well, that's
call on
not
the
Monday,
3rd.
that's a Wednesday.
So, and that's Labor Day.
No, October.
October?
Oh,
Next month.
That'd be 2 weeks after the other
all
meeting.
right then.
Yeah, you know what? That's also our first typical meeting. Is that Wednesday? Let's do that.
3rd works.
Perfect.
Okay.
Which is October?
October 3rd for the community meeting.
Okay.
So that's where we're going to invite residents, and we can socialize on the Facebook. And there's a large Facebook community in Douglas, so we should be able to get some people out.
Wonderful.
So Oktoberfest is the following Saturday, I guess, right?
When is Oktoberfest?
I don't know when Oktoberfest is.
I think it was
Is it the 6th?
October.
It's the first,
Well, got
first
that.
Saturday. First Saturday in October.
Okay, but that doesn't matter, but that's good. So we're good.
Would that be a good place to help promote the event? No.
It's funny enough, we actually had a booth there 2 Oktoberfest ago.
Yeah.
Do we want to do that again?
You got all the equipment for it.
You still got the banner?
I have all the stuff for it.
Yeah.
I don't know. You think that would drive people to actually show up
I don't know.
because of that?
I have to sell my shirt, so I
Some
can't be
people,
with you.
yeah.
Okay, then that'll push us to the 10th. Which I will not be here, but it does not matter. So I'm going to be away for that week. So
Will you be here for the Oktoberfest?
yeah, I'm not leaving until Monday. So yeah,
So you won't be here on October 10th?
no, but that's okay. You have plenty of people.
I don't think we need to push it till after Oktoberfest. I don't think that makes that much of a difference, quite frankly.
Right. Yeah, the booth is something we can do regardless of.
Back to the third.
Yeah.
You got connections to that Dynamic Douglas?
Unfortunately.
It does.
Well, there you go.
And there's 3 other groups in town that I can go and post in.
Oh, there you go.
I haven't been kicked out of any of them yet.
Oh, okay.
So we got an admin and one right there.
Yeah.
So.
Now, in terms of meeting logistics, where do you think, what is the best place to hold a potentially large?
This room.
This room.
This is, unless we outgrow this room can hold 40 probably people easy. And I don't think we'll fill this room.
I mean, they didn't even fill it when they were having
The town,
a thing
the override meetings.
the override in the
Yeah.
schools and stuff, and they didn't.
If we really get that turnout, we can move to a school, but I
Yeah.
doubt we'll get that
We're
turnout.
not, no, it's not going to be to that point,
Let's see.
because nothing was rattling them up more than that.
We are playing on the emotions of the override, so I think we can actually get enough people from
Wait till after
that.
you get your first tax bill. That's when you want to see the
Well,
emotions.
that's not until
there and
February.
that.
In terms of, I know we might be getting ahead of ourselves a bit, but I
okay.
have some draft sort of materials that I've used elsewhere. Here is an agenda that I used in one town.
It's better to get this out of the way early, by the way, so it's good you have it. So.
But the reason I'm showing it to you is because was for a public forum, and it has breakout groups, 3 out of 4, which I think worked very well. The 4th one on the back, I didn't get the results out of it that I thought were useful. But that's sort of what I was envisioning we might have the residents do at the community visioning workshop.
So how long is one of these events? 6 to 8:30. Okay. Okay. Now, when you say breakout groups, it really is just everybody doing that thing at that time, right? Or are you actually taking 2 out of the 4 people or 10 out of the 30 people and doing that breakout?
So I think what I've seen be less chaotic is to have, let's say we do 3 breakout groups, each focused on a different thing. We group, 3 chunks of people, 3 chunks of residents, and they take turns. They start off at station A, do the visioning project. Then after 20 minutes, half an hour, they move to station B, do the next one. So everybody gets to participate and weigh in on everything.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
But if you've seen formats that you think,
Nope, I've called that something different. That's totally fine, though. I know exactly what you mean now.
okay.
Okay, cool. So I guess for the community, everybody looking at this, is this how you'd want to drive this type meeting? Any suggestions, feedback?
Yeah, I think we need a lot of publicity to get people to come to it.
We do, but I think having actually a format helps, right? Having an agenda, putting it out there early, having people understand what the conversation is going to be.
A fire station should have a sign out in front of it, that little marquee and whatever else to see
Now,
if we.
I'm looking at this, and we get around into D, brainstorming on the land use projects and stuff like that. Now, these are just going to be community people,
Residents.
residents that are going to come into that, okay?
I mean,
I didn't, when I did D, last time, I didn't see it work out.
no, that's what I think Carol's hitting on right now,
Yeah.
is for common residents in town, they're not really in tune with development efforts
See, I
and
could see this part working better with the other
the
group.
business owners and developers. Yeah.
It'd be really nice to get their ideas.
That's a good
She's the
idea. I love
developer.
it. I love it.
You know?
So if you take D and subtract it, move it over to the actual business owner developer group, then you're left with A, B, and C for the actual community members.
And can you make this 6 to 8 instead of 6 to 8:30?
We can do whatever you
Well,
need.
now we can because we just removed some time. Look at that.
All right, so we'll do 6 to 8, and we will plan on having it here unless turnout pleasantly surprises us. And
One thing that's always good, and maybe you have it here, is the follow-up action item type of takeaway thing. What are they going to hear back out of this thing? Just it would be good if we're going to publicize something like this. When the slimmed down version, it's always good to show that at the bottom that they're going to get something out of this.
okay. So next
Steps and all that. Yeah.
What would the next steps be? What would they get out of this?
Well, that's a really great question. I mean, hopefully, it's an opportunity for them to provide their input and help shape the development of Douglas in a way that meets their desires, needs, hopes.
Well, let me take Luke's comment and go further. What is your plan and how to use these 3 meetings going forward?
So it'll develop, oftentimes the stakeholders and the residents, you guys know your town. I mean, in a way, we will never know your town. So you have the expert ideas, you have the knowledge of, what's missing, what's necessary, and that'll inform the recommendation, play a large factor in forming the ultimate recommendations that will be in phase 3 of the plan, that ties everything together.
Okay.
So.
But I would assume you'd take real good minutes and publish a little report as to what went on.
Exactly.
You'd probably
Okay.
We like
handle it,
pictures.
But I mean, I could see, maybe somebody comes up with ideas that, we could implement. Maybe we need some changes in our zoning, maybe we need some changes on how people get permits. And it's just.
It can be a lot of different
Someone
things.
looks at things from a different perspective, I mean, just, I know.
Not just we need this business, somebody figure it out. It's
Yeah.
like, here's some actionable things you can go off and do, and that's kind of
I
the
mean, somebody-
problem we don't have right now. is
Somebody that's not
actionable.
dealing with, just comes up with like a different idea. Like I've got a neighbor that rents out cottages, and she said, on Saturday, I got 4 cottages and I gotta get them all clean before the next people go in. Do you ever think of doing 2 on Saturday and 2 on Sunday? She said, I never thought of that. So that's what she's doing now.
I know somebody that's on a team that's developing the 40B up here in North Street, and I know that there's all kinds of red flags being raised every time they go for a permit. You can't do that. Can't do it this way. And so it's like jumping through hoops.
So when we make sure we have the first meeting, can you make sure they're there?
Yeah.
Perfect.
So in terms of the community visioning, I don't have a name for it yet, so we'll call it whatever.
That's fine.
Community visioning session. I'd love to see, the breakout groups will need to be facilitated. If you'd be interested in
We can help do that.
Yeah, so that would be wonderful.
And by the way, these questions are only coming up because we've done this over the years. I think
Okay.
these types of things have been done in like mid-90s and the early 2000s and
Wonderful.
never converted into anything after
Okay.
doing the study, which is why I think these questions will be good for the town because the town knows about all the past studies with no follow-up.
Okay.
So.
Okay, well, hopefully you'll have
Oh, no, yep.
We
get a great report.
Actionable applied plan with short and.
We get a really good
long-term
report, by the way, so reports aren't an issue. It's helping us make it actionable. So.
If you want someone to be a facilitator, will you kind of give us like a little list of maybe what we should bring up to talk about or something?
I have facilitator guidelines.
Oh, that's what we need.
These are just a sample.
She has you
taken
taken
from-
care of.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
So I haven't re-reviewed these recently, so I won't pass
That's
them
fine.
out, but we'll have it all clean.
You can email those out even, and we can get them passed around.
Yeah.
Not right now, but when you clean them up.
Sure.
Do you have any of these meetings already happening with other towns that we could sit in on and see how they go?
I don't have any
Or
going on.
were they televised?
No, they weren't. No, they weren't. As sort of recommended. But,
Okay.
every town's different, every town has different needs, so. I don't personally have any of these meetings going on right now. Some of my colleagues probably do, though. Let me think about that and see. So, we might be able to loop you into a meeting.
Perfect.
That'd be cool.
So it looks like we have schedule in place. Looks like everybody's in agreement on the types of meetings, at least in the format. So I think what are the next steps out of this meeting that we need to make sure we have ready for the next meeting for August? So we need to get a business list put together so we can go and contact people.
Right.
That includes probably developers and anything else we need for the first meeting, right? I would say, Carol, can you help with the developer piece of it?
Yeah.
You have the most contacts.
Yeah.
Brokers, how far out do we want to go with brokers, besides Cliff? He's the no-brainer, but,
A couple good ones would be.
well, we have one in town, Cliff, who's like, knows the town inside and out.
Yeah. And he may know a few other brokers.
Maybe we can ask him if he wants to bring
Cliff was
anybody.
on this committee at
Yeah.
one time.
You can also ask Hal, if Hal has anybody he recommends.
Right,
Hal might have a few people.
right.
So we have people we can follow up on to fill in meeting number 1.
Okay.
So we'll be, by the next meeting, let's plan on, Carol, if you can take on the developers aspect.
Yeah.
Paul, you and I maybe work on the business owners to see what we can scrounge up from the past that you
Yeah.
and I did.
Yeah, we can do that.
And then I guess, can you reach out to Cliff too?
Okay. I usually give him a ride when I see him walking, so.
Perfect. When you grab him someday, you can ask him for that. Okay, then for next meeting, we should have number 1 set up. For meeting number 2, what are the action items for that one? Are there any?
So I'm not sure, so municipal staff, obviously,
You can get a list, that's easy.
so
But
I'd like to pick some key staff and see if we can't find a common time that works for them to meet.
you might be able to get a few. I mean, you can get like Steve, Bill, Matt, probably in a room fairly easily, the 3 of them.
Well, Steve, I think, works,
He's part-time.
he's only part-time, he works full-time up at, I think, Quinsigamon College, so.
I know, but we should be able to schedule him like at an after-hour thing, I would think, that we can probably
I
ask
thought
him.
we were gonna do it, that would be,
So for those 3, I
Yeah.
think we can get those 3 together without much of a problem because they meet fairly regularly. I think the rest, depending on how deep you want to go into the rest, you're not going to be able to get most of the other people, I think, together. So you have like, you know, if you want to get tax, if you want to get the town administrator, assessor's office, I think those people, it might be good to actually go around to each office and do individuals during the day.
town clerk.
Town clerk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So were you open to doing it during the daytime?
am.
Yes, I think we have to.
Okay.
You're not going to probably be able to get most of them in
Like I
after
said, the only
hours.
one you're probably not gonna get during the daytime might be Steve.
Steve's the only one,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
I wonder.
But we can get him right before conservation. So we'll just tie them into actually conservation schedule and they can catch him before that.
Let's, so let's see, the first business owners meeting is Wednesday, September 19th, and I'm assuming that's going to be at 7 PM?
That's, sounds like a good time.
7, yep.
I wonder if we did the municipal staff meeting aimed for a 4 o'clock afternoon. People might be eager to wrap up their heavy part of the day and sit
Wednesday
down.
at 4 for the town hall stuff.
Do you think that sounds reasonable?
I think what you should do is maybe you should talk to,
Ask him.
I
Yeah.
think we should talk to the town manager.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And, you know, who knows if we're running into union problems.
So let's, you and I can email
Okay, that sounds
town
great.
manager and we'll take care of that.
But
Yeah, I think we should
So
talk
if you
to.
do it during
But-
business hours, and there's only one person in that room, they have to close that
Right,
office.
right.
No, that's why I think Carol's hitting on it. So yeah, we got to figure, we got to ask them what the town, what they're willing to do
Right.
as employees and we'll see where they can go.
Okay, so what do we got for dates? We got the
19th,
19th and the 3rd.
19th of
Of September.
September.
And that's tentatively for both the business owners and the municipal staff, depending on how things work out. And it could be that we ask them to do 4:30 when actually all the
No.
offices close on Wednesday and they just stay for a half hour or an hour or whatever.
Is that the first meeting? That's not the first.
Yes, it is.
Okay, I thought we weren't going to have the municipal staff with the business owners.
Not with them, but maybe the same day. It would not be the same meeting.
So the less we spend on travel time, the more we can put it into providing you with great recommendations or great product. So I'd love to back it up, but it's, you know.
Understood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's not,
If we can make
Gonna
the
make it
day,
great
if we
to
can
have an
set up
extra
both
time.
meetings in one day, it'll just optimize the time. And it's okay if we can look into it. We can't guarantee it, obviously.
no
Yeah.
problem either way.
it almost seems a little ambitious to do 2 the same day, but
We'll try. We'll
Yeah.
talk. We'll talk to
You try
Chris.
it.
We'll talk to Chris and others and see what they say.
Ambitious.
yeah.
Fast fail, right?
That means we all have to be there too.
Okay. And then we were aiming for the 3rd for the community meeting of October.
October 3rd.
Now for that one, we need to have an outreach plan probably earlier than later. We don't have to start socializing it now. I'm thinking if we start socializing that, you do it probably about a month ahead of time. So like Labor Day-ish is probably the best time I would think to start socializing it for that. Maybe a little sooner than that, but
I think that would just explode on Facebook, any mention of it.
that's why I want to
Share it around.
hold off until then, because you just know if you give them 4 weeks notice, they should be okay with it. It's not a big travel vacation time frame for the first week in October, so.
So we do have some materials that we've used for other things. We can provide you with some easy printed, some easy stuff that we can just very quickly modify, printed, that you can print up. You know, if you want to post things in paper format or otherwise. So.
And actually, what I might do, just to get a buzz going, maybe not to do a full thing, is if I do actually a survey on Facebook just to say, hey, who's interested? know, like, hey, this is going on, this is the agenda, but, you know, get them to kind of say, like, hey, wow, you just got 100 people off of Dynamic Douglas that said we'd be interested at least. You know, you'll get 20 of them, but realistically, like, I can at least maybe in the next few weeks get that going. So we'll have an idea what October would look like and if this room would work, which I think it still will. So,
Wonderful.
and then I'll do the official agenda probably, again, about a month beforehand.
That sounds great.
So,
Is there anything else you wanted to address while we're here? Any questions, concerns, thoughts?
I think this is really good. I think this is super helpful.
I think it's the beginning of the next step.
Excellent.
That's how I look at it.
You guys are making headway. Little by little, you'll get there.
It's good communication for the whole community, you know?
Okay, perfect, guys. If you can do me a favor when you get these actually in kind of usable format for us, if you don't mind emailing them out,
I would be happy to.
and then we can send them around.
Wonderful.
Pass them along.
Yep, we'll email them out to the group.
I will plan on touching base next week with
Feel free.
some materials.
Not a problem.
It's nice to meet those of you who haven't met before. Thanks, everybody. Good seeing you again.
Thank you.
Good seeing you.
Nice meeting everybody.
Nice meeting you.
Okay, so now we have to, we have a bunch of other stuff we can go through.
Do we?
We have official stuff that we don't usually take care of that we do actually have to work on. One of them is we need to go through a reorganization. Thank you guys again very much, by the way.
Thank you both.
So we have to do the official yearly reorganization, which basically I've only been through it once when Paul was chairman and I became chairman. So I think this is the time that we all get to decide what do we want to play, role, secretary, vice chair, chair.
We'll have nominations.
So we need to nominate.
Good, I'll nominate you for chair again.
Can we first explain what those different roles are? Because I don't know.
Okay.
Actually, that is, and I will ask Paul because Paul's been doing this a hell of a longer than I have, so
Yeah,
Paul can
it's-
explain.
Well, it's the chair, vice chair, and secretary. So there's only 5 of us, so
Chair runs the meeting, vice chair runs the meeting when the chair can't make it. And the secretary takes the notes and makes sure the notes are available to review at the follow-up meeting.
You know something, we should have, why don't they, that woman that's watching the things, how come she not knowing our notes too? She does everybody else's.
Who?
Suzanne?
Suzanne?
Is this not Suzanne?
No, there's a, you, at the ZBA meetings, the planning board meetings, all those, there's someone who sits home and watches it off the TV and writes and does the minutes.
Okay, I'll email Suzanne and ask.
Yeah, find out how to get those done that way.
But either way, we still right now need to not, even if
Yeah.
the secretary is not officially doing notes, we still have to nominate a secretary as part of our,
What are the other responsibilities of the secretary besides?
That's
that
it.
honestly is it. We're not really a heavy-duty
Yeah.
responsibilities board.
Right, right.
we haven't got any minutes from the last meeting, so
Nope, and we didn't really have much for the last meeting. And the treasurer, there's no treasurer in our group.
Right.
So it's really just
And we're not a group that makes any
decisions.
decisions that, you know, we would end up in court over or anything. You know, like if you're the ZBA and you make the wrong decision, somebody's suing you, they want it right, and this, that, and the, we're not gonna end up like that. So if you do the minutes are a little off, the world's not gonna come to an end, I guess is what I'm saying.
So somebody that takes
I'll do the
notes.
I'm good at notes.
Okay.
Okay, so hold on. So let's start back. So you just nominated chair.
I nominate you for chair.
Does somebody want to second that?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
I mean,
Aye.
I would-
Vice chair.
Vice chair.
Anybody like to nominate vice chair?
Would you like to take the job as vice chair, Bob?
It's not hard.
All you need is you're the chair when the vice.
He just started today and you're giving him vice chair already.
You don't want it, Paul?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Okay, I nominate Paul for vice chair.
Okay, I'll second.
I'll
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll nominate Luke for secretary.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So be it. Reorganization is complete.
I'll get
I was
involved next year.
quick in
Hey, but what you-
next year.
To know what it's all about.
That's right, I'm getting my feet wet now.
Yeah.
Okay, next order of business I have here is I had a bunch of mail in the mailbox. I wanted to make sure everybody understood what they were. This is just saying I'm on the EDC until 2021 apparently, so
Okay.
got my letter. Bob, here's your letter.
I think you have to go be
Thinking it,
sworn
yeah.
in or something.
Yeah, did you go, did you get sworn in
I already
already?
did all that.
Do you know about the open meeting laws and stuff? Because that got me.
Good point. So,
Big pamphlet.
Yeah, it is a big thing.
Yeah.
so long story short, when you have a quorum is 3 people, You are not supposed to have open meetings outside of the official meetings. So on email, we can't all five just be sitting there having giant open conversations without them being formal. Things like that. The pamphlet will explain a lot more than that. But the gist is we can't have a meeting that is not set up here, being recorded, and having it be more formalized with committee votes and all that stuff. That's the 2-second gist.
Yeah, I got bad dogged for that on like day 2.
Well, that way he did an email that somebody called him out on the email. So it wasn't really us having a committee meeting. It wasn't no decision. It was just a called out. Another thing I want to call out for everybody here, we have our budget right here, and we have the same budget as last year. So if everybody is aware, we actually have a $1,000 budget for the year, which we can use on whatever we find we want to use it on.
Right.
Last year, we didn't really use it on much. The year prior to last year, we actually did the Oktoberfest that Paul and I was talking about. We spent a few hundred on, we got a banner, which did they ever bill us on that? I don't remember.
No.
There was signage. There was, we bought some giveaways for the kids through town because we set up a whole booth with a tent and all that. That was really the big money we spent that year. But we do have $1,000. And we also made pamphlets, which I think we had handed out to the town, and we put a pile of them out there. Just trying to give everybody phone numbers of local contractors and business people that they can grab and use. So if you guys have ideas throughout the year, we have a budget we can actually use for things like that or other things as we want. Okay? So think about it. What else? Last thing, and I think not everybody was here when this was made sort of official, but we do have the resignation of Phil Andry.
Okay.
Which is how we're up to our 5th member right now. So
good.
thank you, Phil, for your service if you're watching any of these. But Phil did resign. So bye, Phil. So that's what I had today for this stuff. With that being said, we also want to formally welcome Bob and Eric onto the EDC. So today is Bob's first day. Bob won out with somebody else when she bowed out. But long story short, I think you jumped into one of our bigger meetings, actually, where we had a guest in, which isn't very common. As of right now, actually, you brought up the topic. We currently have meetings officially once a month. They flip-flop for the past 3 to 4 months. Sometimes we actually missed them. What I would like to do, if we can make this formal with everybody, does Wednesdays work for everybody here?
It does. I'm on call sporadically, and I may
that's fine.
get called, but
Not a problem on that.
It's good.
Wednesday?
Wednesday's fine by me.
Yeah, Wednesday's a little bit tough on me,
Tough?
but
Do you prefer Thursdays?
yeah, I prefer Thursdays. We have a choir at church, and my wife and I are both in. It's Wednesday night they rehearse, but
Okay,
I can-
that's fine. Do Thursdays work? Thursdays don't work for you, and Wednesdays don't work for you, and we don't want to go back to Tuesdays because Tuesdays were when
the whole place is
everybody's
full.
here and we couldn't get a room.
I can do Mondays or Fridays.
Nobody does Fridays.
Not Friday.
We could do Mondays if we wanted, by the way. Is Monday better?
Monday's kind of busy in this place.
Is it
too,
also?
I
I'm
think.
not
Yeah,
usually here
sometimes
Mondays.
It is, yeah.
I mean, Wednesday will work for me.
Well, what do we
Wednesday
need?
works
We
for
just need a
everybody else.
room, right?
We do, but there's only 4. Well, you need a room set up for video. So the rooms I set up for video are really 3 rooms in the building. The kitchen is the room you end up with. Actually, and also they have the selectman's office.
Yeah.
But you can, if you have 4 meetings going, it's really a
We've
crazy
been
place.
In the hallway sometimes. You know?
But you got to be videotaping in the hallway. It's kind of weird. So long story short, if you're Wednesdays, what time does choir start for you? Just curious.
I can
Earlier or later?
I can skip every once in a while. It's every night.
We're only doing once a
Wednesday,
month
you
right
know,
now. Okay.
So
As of right now, let's try to keep it on Wednesdays. Do we want to do the first Wednesday of every month? Does that work for everybody?
Sounds
As of
good.
right now?
Yep.
So the next meeting, you guys are gonna love me because I'm not gonna be here for it. Oh no, yes I am. The next meeting would be August 8th, which is the first full week, by the way, not just the first month day. So August 8th is gonna be the next meeting at 7 p.m. here, and I will make sure that Chris and Suzanne know that we're on that
Okay.
schedule going forward.
Okay.
And Bob, for your update, we are not always in this room. It depends on how they prioritize it. Sometimes the biggest committee typically gets this room, and then we go down the list. So, and if planning or ZBA or conservation's ever on the same night, they always get the resource room because that's set up for those types of meetings. So. Okay, those types of updates I wanted to make sure we got out. Any other topics want to open discussion? Anything anybody wants to bring up for today?
Right, and we mentioned on Oktoberfest. I don't know if we want to do anything with
That
that.
is true. We did mention. Do we want to pull that off again?
It's up to you guys.
Well, that was a you and me thing with Phil.
Yeah.
Why, he was.
We
he
had
was-
terrible weather.
Phil actually showed up for a while to help us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had terrible weather, but that's Oktoberfest. So what we had done, just so everybody's aware, is, and we got it for free. So we didn't have to pay for the booth space because we're a town committee. They gave it to us. We set up a booth along Main Street like everybody else. I brought a tent. We had a table set up. We got a banner made. That's the Economic Development EDC banner. We actually had kind of a theme that year. We were playing off of trying to get a beautification kind of thing going. So we had some poster boards made up with some old CMRPC and some old other studies that were done with like concepts. You know, they were like, hey, fix the parking, hey, power lines, hey, this, hey, that. And then we made some pamphlets for people that, again, it was a threefold that demonstrated what businesses are in town. And we also gave away things for the kids to try to drag people in to actually talk to us because we had no other reason for them to come talk to us. So it was about a 5 or 6 hour thing for us, I think.
Something like that.
You know, and
That was-
we did shifts, and my daughter helped us out, and you know, we did stuff like that. But
I think just giving things out to the kids and having a few.
I don't mind doing it
materials
again.
around.
It was kind of fun,
Yeah.
as long as it doesn't rain again. It was actually kind of fun.
Yeah, it
Is
was
that
fun, and
something that
get-
you guys be interested in doing with us, if we were to do it?
Okay, I have to do this.
I know Carol's out. She works in the Historical Society, selling Red Sox T-shirts or sweatshirts. So,
I usually play one of the band things,
okay.
but I would still.
That's fine.
try if I can.
Yeah.
Well, you'll be there at Oktoberfest, so and then so that's down to you. Would you be interested in helping out? And you can totally say no. You're not putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
If I'm in town, I know we're going on vacation around that time, so.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's not make a decision today. Let's hold it to August.
Okay.
And then for the everybody be prepared in August if we can go and kind of lock down and say, do we want to do it or not? That's all. We'll give it a month.
Yeah, it was a fun time.
It was, and it's not a lot of planning to do it.
Right, you got to meet a lot of good townspeople at the same time.
Dollar store,
Some
get all the
exposure.
cheap kids giveaways and put them in buckets, and that's all we really took. So, okay. Let's see what else. There was some other discussions that were had in the past few meetings. I know Paul has not been able to make it, and the last meeting didn't work out because of a whole mix-up with cable and town manager. But we did have some conversations with Dan Heaney, I think, and I don't know if you ever followed up with him or not at this point.
I did follow up with him.
Do you want to give us an update on
Well,
that?
he said he would absolutely love to do an over 55
Yep.
over there on that corner of North Street.
Yep.
And, but it seems like the town manager doesn't think it's a good idea.
So and then.
Why? What's his reasoning?
So I spoke to the town manager, I
Yeah.
think that was after that then. So
Yeah.
just to bring everybody up to speed, what Matt's concept was, he thought that comparative to bringing a business in to use that property or multiple businesses in, you're not gonna get the same tax base out of the over 55 as you would out of potential businesses that you would have on that property. His thing was, it's not that splitting the property up might not work, but he was thinking like, hey, like we thought, a gas station on that corner, a Cumberland, one of the newer Cumberland farms, or one of these other things,
Restaurant.
something there might actually be bringing a decent tax base that they can then do something behind it on the other half of the
You're not
property.
gonna get a gas station because I think it's on the,
The protected,
protected area.
wetlands or the
Yeah,
water protection
any
zone.
other, yeah, I think that. But the other thing too is when he says he doesn't think you're gonna get that much, you know, Family Convenience Center is only assessed at $600,000.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 over 55s at 300, we've got it.
So I think what, so let's do this. I would actually love to, first of all, we need to get Dan to that CMRPC meeting.
Okay,
No-brainer
yes,
there.
yeah,
That's a
yeah, okay.
no-brainer.
Okay.
Would it be interesting to actually invite Dan here and Matt here to have an open meeting, open discussion with us, maybe even for August? Do you think Dan would be game to come in and talk?
He might.
I don't know him, so I'm going to
Yeah,
rely on you to
yeah.
actually help with that. But
I've been trying to drag them down to Pine Hills because
I know you have.
down in
You
Plymouth,
told me that.
they don't have any density requirements. You know, we get this thing, you think you need a half an acre. Well, you know what? If somebody's 60 years old, they don't want to go out and take care of a half an acre.
So let's do this. I'm going to reach out to Matt to see if I can work on getting Matt here for the next
Right.
meeting. If you can help try to get Dan, and we'll try to sync up to schedule them through email. Because if we can have an open conversation with the two of them here,
Yeah.
that would actually be just a good open discussion. And there's going to be opinions, and nobody has to officially agree, but let's just see where everybody's heads are at, and then we'll come out of that. We've never actually officially gotten the town manager to sit down with people like Dan Heaney in the same meeting, so that would just be a good one. It would be a good precursor also to the CMRPC meetings to see kind of how the bigger thing would actually go by having them in. So this is just one person. And the property we're talking about, Bob, is the corner of Gilboa and North Street. You drive by it all the time, I'm sure. Right when you cross over the bridge, which is finally open.
Which is closed now.
No, open.
Just open.
Officially open today. I went to the depot. I'm like, oh, it's
Yesterday, it
open.
opened
It's the
yesterday.
big field.
It's the field in front of it.
Yeah.
So
The
that's
one
over
that
in
had the
Haney.
sign coming in 2005, which
That-
never came.
Yeah, so he owns that and a gigantic area behind it also, wrapping around that house. That's like
Yeah.
over there.
Well, you won't do a gas station there because there's one down the road and you just passed one on Main Street.
That's not our gas station, first of all, in town. That's Uxbridge owned. And second of all,
But it's
Right,
still,
right.
but if you actually look at gas stations that set up a lot, and I was talking to the Cumberland Farms person,
Yeah.
they actually will go in near another gas station to be
Yeah, on the
competitive
other
with
side of the
them.
road.
They will have no problem with that, especially if they see the other one as a little older, a little pricier, and they know they can come in and build a new and undercut them. They will come in. But again, it might be a protected zone for the
I don't know if it's
watershed.
on the
I don't know if the
aquifer.
watershed and the aquifer is there, but we'll have to figure that
I don't
out.
know if it is. They did take part of what used to be on the aquifer, they took it off, and if that's.
So we'll need Bill for that. That's a Bill discussion.
Yeah.
So I can invite Bill and Matt into that same conversation. And it's a brainstorming session with Dan.
Right.
That's really how I want to position it. It's not a like, hey, here's an idea, but here's a bunch of ideas,
Right.
and let's see if we can go help you, Dan, to realize value out of that property because you're just holding onto it right
Been
now.
holding on for a lot of years, yeah.
The other types of properties in town that we actually have always talked about that we someday do have to look into further. There's the big project, which I think for right now is tabled, which is Pine.
Yeah.
Right? There's that whole, Pine, obviously sand, across from the Shell station.
yeah.
So technically, a lot of that's in Douglas. Technically, if they ever wanted to sell, that has potential for a gigantic shops at Millbury type of a thing someday. Someday is probably 5 or 10 years down the road. We'd have to work with too many people on that. It's kind of the holy grail unicorn that someday will help Douglas, but it's just not the thing for right now.
Because once they mine all the gravel out of it.
Then they're
it's
out,
just a flat
and
piece
then
of
we're
land.
good, and then we want it. But again, that's further down the road. We have properties such as, what's the place over on 16 near Monroe, near me, that he, Granutech.
Granutech,
The
yeah.
Granutech site, we have to figure out what's going on there. I haven't been able to contact them, I've tried.
Yeah.
There are people in and out of that building all the time. But are you familiar with Granutech site?
That's in Uxbridge, isn't it?
Nope, it's actually Douglas. If you're going down 16, Monroe and across from Monroe, it's where
Okay.
the old gift barn used to be,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah,
Yeah, because he died
and he died.
Kind of
And
what-
Pete Tetros.
yeah.
so, long story short, that's a property that's on our list of potentials because it's a good-sized property with two to three really strong big buildings that are set up really well. So we'd have to think about how to help them out. Another one that I was talking with Matt about is there's apparently when you go past the old roofing, DNR
Yeah,
roofing,
yeah,
which
yeah.
somebody
Something
is
just
taking that
sold
over
it.
now.
Yeah,
'cause they
something
just
just
planted the
sold.
grass and they're redoing it.
Yeah, it
so
just sold.
good for them.
Yeah.
But behind that, there's a bunch of acreage back there that's actually town-owned. Supposedly, well, it's going to be, or something like that. It was like in tax abatement or something
Yeah.
like that.
Right. Owner unknowns.
Owner unknowns, yeah.
No, that doesn't necessarily mean it's town-owned.
Well, they're working on getting
Yeah,
them, but they're trying to figure out how to
who it is.
get to them. And there was like 2 or 3 property potentials that Matt was going to look into.
Yeah.
So I'd want to bring that up with him when he's actually here also, because it seemed like it was a decent something back there. I think those were the big discussion points right now, right, that we had? Was there anything
Yeah,
else that
the
we've
other-
had?
The other thing that's going on now, in fact, I was at planning board last night, that field where they have the circus across from Joyce
Yeah.
View.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody's looking into that
Yeah,
again?
they want to put in a.
That was the Duncan originally that
That's what
they
they're going
kicked out of
for
there.
again.
Really?
Oh,
Good.
really?
Yeah, that's what they're going
They
for
should be
again.
able to get one in.
And
there.
they're looking for a drive-through, and I think they're gonna give it to them. They've got some new plans. It's interesting, though, they came into the meeting last night with 3 lawyers, now, and an engineer and a traffic person, but, you know, when you think about it, why are we so scary?
That they had to bring
That they
3
bring
lawyers
lawyers.
with, well,
We gotta think
what
about
happened
that.
the first time? That's what we got to figure
I
out.
don't know.
Because they were shot down the first time.
Yeah, but 3, now I don't know if it's the same people, it could be somebody new who bought.
It's a
the property.
franchise, that's
Yeah,
true. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, those are all franchise. And they didn't necessarily say Dunkin' Donuts, they said coffee shop.
Yep.
So we don't know what the coffee shop's gonna
Yeah,
be.
I've seen a lot of people over in the field walking around, you
Well,
know.
that's what they're
some
doing,
with
it must be the engineering doing
suits
the work.
on,
But it's
yeah.
kind of nice to see that maybe something's gonna go there, bring in some revenue.
Good.
You
And
know,
then there's always the envelope factory, obviously, which has the grow facility in it now, or will.
Right.
But that's just it's doing its thing. We don't really have a lot of work to do with them. We're just watching it happen at this point. So,
Seem to be prospering.
yeah, and I don't know when the grow facility is going to officially open. I think I saw all the lighting and stuff that they were
They've
putting
been
upstairs and
doing all
stuff.
the work
They've been
inside,
doing the work.
yeah.
I just don't know when it's going to open.
Now, you had mentioned that not on good terms, or at the
I
beginning of this meeting.
don't know.
I think from what I gather, there's been a little bit of bad blood, that they weren't happy with some of the things that they were told that they had to do, and I'm not.
We don't
right-
typically get in the middle of those.
I'm not, yeah, I'm not really right up on all of it. Now, whether or not that's been soothed over, I don't know.
Okay. That would be a Matt, obviously, question. We'd have to
But
ask Matt.
we're economic development, right?
Right.
So if
We are.
somebody else is stymieing,
Right, we want to help
We
them
should
out.
100% agreed.
What's your problem?
So
What
does
can we do to
anybody,
help you?
so is it, that's still the same envelope owner, right? The factory?
The fa-
The original guy owns that still?
Yeah,
And he's the one doing the grow facility upstairs?
I think so. He owns the building. And
But he's
he'll look-
subleased out the
envelope company,
envelope
yeah,
company now,
yeah.
yeah. Does anybody know who that owner is?
I don't have
don't either.
anybody. Did you ever meet him or anything?
Yeah, I have Mike.
Yeah,
I've forgotten his last name.
Yeah.
An Italian last name, but he's a nice guy.
yeah.
I mean, he's good to talk to. Gave us tours of the place.
Bob, you're the new person. Would you be interested in reaching out to him?
to,
Whoever the owner is when we find out?
sure.
See if we can get him to the meeting. Have him give us
I
some
would like to
input.
run up to Charlton and find out why those people want their facility out and get it here.
Oh, yes.
I think they want it because.
And by the way,
they
I
have a place
actually
do
talked to
it.
Matt about that when that was first posted on Facebook.
Yeah.
I actually had immediately showed him like, hey, here's an article in the Telegram.
Yeah.
Like, you might want to take a look. I don't know what happened to that. I haven't followed up with Matt,
I
but
think somebody should at least approach these people.
there's more than that one too. I mean, it's right now you can pretty much go to any of the major marijuana companies and probably get some interest.
I mean, I'm against the marijuana, you know. I
Retail
think most of
sales.
it, retail and all that crap.
Yeah.
I didn't vote for it, but hey, it's the crown jewel right now. You might as
Yeah.
well
Get money.
make money
Yeah.
off of it.
That's it.
Yeah, I
It's
wasn't,
clean manufacturing,
Yep.
and all you need is water and gas.
That's it.
right. It'd be
Yep.
nice if they could.
Yeah, but a lot of them do solar actually
It's
also.
everywhere.
A lot of them are setting up for green, so solar is a big component for a lot of them.
Which was my last topic, solar. What are we doing for solar?
So funny enough, when I did first start, and this was going back 2 years ago, before that property, there was a property in Monroe Street
Right.
that Cliff had helped somebody sell. We had contacted a solar company about putting in a solar farm there, but they basically had started chopping it down and ended up selling it off to the family over on 16. So nothing came of that. There's been no other activity with solar companies, even though there are a dime a dozen and we can easily go and talk to multiple ones if we want to. It's having the property to put it on right now.
Yeah, right now.
That's what we actually need to find.
Right now, in Webster, okay,
Mm-hmm.
on the Webster line, along, very close to,
Was
Office
Blue
16?
Fountain used to
Office
be.
16, where
Oh, I
the
saw
state
that.
took over property.
I saw that, yeah.
They're looking to put a huge one on about 300 acres of land. And the reason I know that, because I happen to own a little piece of land up there in those Douglas Woods.
And they weren't trying to buy it from you?
No, they weren't. They had to notify me.
Oh,
You're in a butter.
about it.
I'm in a
Yeah.
butter.
Which is good.
Yeah, we want to move it over a little bit.
But we don't own any more property. I think we have a small
Yeah, we got
sliver
11
down
acres
there,
towards the front.
which is
That isn't
nothing.
going to do anything. But,
So acreage is our issue. In
but
the
I
end.
mean, the thing is, with solar, you know, of course, I guess, I went to the town of Webster to talk to, town assessor. He wasn't too thrilled about it. Oh, it's all woods, they're gonna cut down trees. Yeah, you know, oh, this is a terrible thing. I said, well, you know, I can show you some pictures where there wasn't any trees there. That used to be the OPEC. This is where before they had oil, all that stuff was cut off. That's all they did was cut those woods down.
Well, yeah, those are young trees. It's not like they're
they were
super
all-
old.
This is what
Yeah.
people did for, to keep their houses warm.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but you know, we've got a lot of space like that that could be used for solar.
We
I
have had some
understand there's-
inquiries, you know, guys have sent us emails. We're looking for.
been a while, but they
We're
have.
looking for land in your area to put up a solar farm.
Now, I
There
don't-
is one that we could always. I wonder if that mobile site could be set up for solar, because there are things we can't do on there for a while.
Right, right.
But could you do something like that on
Be
there?
interesting, interesting, you know, if we can do that.
So we also, so the town was able to acquire, how many acres?
About 50 acres.
50 acres, basically in the middle of town, but it's heading down towards the Family Fuel on the
Where
right-hand
pump
side.
station was,
Yeah,
that's
Yeah,
it.
up-
yeah, up behind there.
Yeah, exactly, back up there.
Yes.
Well, you
Uh,
need south-facing hills per se for solar.
Oh, we need to clear enough to get enough sun to it, yeah.
Can we just use all our buildings, the schools and the municipal?
So I think you can do that, it's just not the same scale. I mean, you can
Yeah.
do that, but there's a lot of work to get them mounted up
I
there.
looked into that, and there's structural problems.
Yeah.
Your roof warranty will go out the window.
Yeah,
Especially flat roofs and stuff, they're not really set up properly to do all that, so.
right. And then the town dump won't work because we don't have a liner in it.
It's not capped.
And if we start penetrating that, we're looking for trouble.
Speaking of which, he's probably heard his name.
Hey,
Hi, Matt.
guys doing?
Good.
good.
We're still in a formal meeting, just so you're aware.
Say hello.
Welcome.
I'm on my
Matt,
way out of the door.
This is Bob Manerick, he's our new member. This is Matt Wojcik, he is our
Town manager.
town manager.
We mentioned your name. Administrator, sorry. You're right. We actually mentioned we mentioned your name like 10 times today.
Oh, wonderful.
Actually, one of the openings, since you're here, we were going to try to find out, remember we discussed Dan Heaney and the Gilboa North Street corner? We actually want to see if we can get him to come out to one of our meetings possibly, and just openly maybe discuss, because he probably wants to do something with it. We got to try to help him. So we were wondering when we get him out, maybe early August, if we can also get you here and Bill here, just openly say, just spitball ideas, see if we can get things moving for him.
Sure.
The other thing also, the good first 40 minutes of the meeting with CMRPC came in. We were discussing their meetings that they want to go and have, all the next steps. So we put some dates around some follow-up meetings. They want to do the first meeting with business owners, developers, brokers, and stuff in town. We're aiming at September 19th is when we're going to aim, so mid-September. It's a Wednesday night. And then they're going to try to also interview staff. So we're going to aim around the same day, if not close to that. And the third meeting is getting residents in town into some type of a sit-down also, which we pushed that off to October, because we have to get interest and see if we can actually get people in the room to actually talk about things. So just want to give you a heads up. We're going to send out some formal notes from this anyways for you. Otherwise, we're kind of giving Bob and Luke a little bit of a rundown on properties in town and things that have to be followed up on and discussed over time. We discussed the Gilboa North Street, the Granutech site. We were just discussing, he brought up solar and asked, can we do solar in town? Of course, you need property to do solar, acreage. We don't have a lot of acreage we can give away for solar right now, so we're discussing things like that.
Yep, we're solar friendly as far as I know.
Town's solar friendly, we just have to need acreage.
If you own land, you can put solar on it if you get a
Does it
permit.
have to be industrial property for solar, or can it go on residential?
I think we had this conversation with the Carter family at one point, and as of right on industrial land,
Yeah,
I don't think you can put it on RA land
okay.
Okay.
without zoning relief.
Maybe we should look into,
Can you get zoning relief on it?
no,
Rezoning them.
zoning laws.
Zoning relief too?
Well, zoning relief,
You'd have to get a ZBA to go.
Town meeting,
yeah.
It's a town meeting, but it's still a possibility.
It's actually probably easier to get the 2/3 vote at town meeting for a
Exactly.
zoning change than it is to get a use variance, because
Exactly,
Yeah.
use variance standards are so high.
right, exactly.
Especially based on the type of turnout you might get if it's not a controversial town meeting.
Right.
It'll be a quicker.
Controversial town meeting.
Well,
That's
that's
easy.
besides the point.
I would
Have it,
delegate that responsibility to you.
have it,
since-
have it right after they get their first tax bills, that's when you want to do it.
So actually, another question for you is the grow facility. We haven't gotten updates on that in a while. How's the relationship with them? How's that going? All that.
I'll give you a couple of real quick updates. We haven't gotten an update from them for a while either. For most of what we've been discussing with them has been the future of the parking lot across the street.
Oh,
Just
yes.
because that's a sticky wicket. It's the very old easement that was granted to the mill owner many, many years ago. to a different landowner.
It's the guy that owns the house down the way, yeah.
Well,
No.
yeah, well, not anymore.
Oh, not anymore.
So
Okay.
the town has taken the property through tax foreclosure, and so now the town
Gotcha.
is the owner of that property.
Right, have they closed the right of redemption?
Yep.
Oh, that's good,
So that,
okay.
I think we're all the way
That's
through
all
with that
done.
process, and maybe
Okay.
one last step to take on.
That's why it's cordoned off. Okay.
Okay,
Well,
well,
it's cordoned off because, well, let me just finish with this.
Sorry,
So the
yeah.
easement is an exclusive right to park.
that's it, that's all
And
we
that's
can.
all it is.
That's all it is. They have no right to say they can tow people or anything like they're doing there, right?
Well, exclusive right to park, I think, would include things that are ancillary upon that. So if you're parking in my parking spot,
Yeah.
I can get you out of the way. 'cause it's
Towing
my
could be part of it,
exclusive
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But you can't close off access on foot or, other
Right.
uses of any piece of the property that's not the parking lot,
Yeah,
or that specific piece of the parking lot.
right.
It only includes the lot, you see, it doesn't include that other carve-out that's a little bit further up, it's a little bit smaller.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
But if 2 or 3 people wanted to park in there and take their kids out there with some worms, there
Yeah.
really isn't anything that should stop them from doing it.
Exactly.
Right.
Originally, or actually, I think it's still the case,
Yeah,
and this is true everywhere, our zoning bylaws require parking to be established, parking requirements to be established as a function of the square footage of the factory.
facility.
The notion being in the past,
Yeah.
a factory of such and such a size pretty much always had such and such a number of workers
right.
in there.
Right, shift
The
one,
grow
shift
facility
two.
is not a labor-intensive activity at that
Right.
level. It's a grow facility. All the space is being taken up by plants and the equipment to support the plants. So they're never going to need that parking. So what they've come back to us with a request, a conversation to have is, can we get, and I guess it would be a dimensional variance from our existing agreement with the town so that we don't need that. We don't need that parking. We want that out of the requirement. Then we're not required to maintain control over that.
Okay.
over
And
that
then
side.
they would,
We still want
and they
to,
would then be willing to give up,
Access to it.
what, the future of the easement is a negotiation.
right, with the,
Fortunately, both parties are willing to have the conversation, the burdened property and the benefited property.
Yeah, that's good.
So
Yeah.
we're in good shape there.
that's good.
I think what we signaled to them is we want that to still be an option for them to park on if other businesses in the building need it,
Right,
but not big trucks, not the things that
That were there for a while.
annoy
yeah.
people. And the thought is, we kind of want to funnel access in and out of that parking lot so that the sight lines, because people move along on Gilboa Street,
Oh, yeah.
are safe.
So put
and
some curbs up or do something to help drive.
planters, something
Something,
that's
yeah.
attractive and still
Guide rail.
allows you to.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So one thing that prior to you coming on board, I had just talked to Mike and Bill and stuff about was actually if we ever were able to get hold of that property, could we actually use that property for something else?
Right.
Now, there was a lot of stipulations because we don't know what's under that property. It's so close to the water and the dam. So I don't know if it's, we were thinking like, hey, if it's beautiful waterfront property, quote unquote, could you do a restaurant? Probably hard because of all the waste management and stuff over there. Could you do like a food truck type of thing and start getting like 2 or 3 food trucks lined up there on a regular basis and making it kind of a cool little hangout? So just a few ideas we've had in the past that we haven't thought of recently.
We really like the food truck idea.
And you can rent it out almost, right? Rent a space out to the food trucks, which would still bring in some tax dollars at some level, but it would bring interest in the town.
Yeah. The better part of wisdom is do not upset the pavement on that bump out.
exactly.
Understood, based on what's probably under that thing, and we don't know it. Yeah, we know.
Already of it. Yeah.
Contaminated, sure.
Oh, no, we know. That's what Bill is like,
Pretty much any bump out on the north side of, what was that, the north? No, that'd be the south side of Gilboa Street.
Yeah,
Shouldn't be touched.
There's a factory, old factory that was there, so yeah.
It's just back in the day, I mean, people don't even realize, it
Yeah.
wasn't that long ago, this country had a really big program called Swamp Buster. Right? We were gonna fill everything in and make it useful and channel the water into trenches.
Right.
Nowadays, oh my God, we would never do that.
Yeah, bring the
So,
beavers
But either way, if it would be awesome if we can look into making it usable
yeah.
in conjunction with the factory, so.
So the conversations are ongoing. Where exactly they stand with the grow, I don't know. The day they start putting plants in, they owe us money under the host agreement, so we'll be checking in with them real soon. I think there might be a couple of permits left for us to close out.
Okay.
So we'll know. I mean, we need to close out the occupancy permit.
Are we, I'll ask this openly, are we holding them up in any way, do they think?
No, I think we cleared that hurdle a long time ago.
We did,
We get that
good.
straight
We
out.
pulled everybody in the room at the same time, fire, building.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And we had state building commissioner people there, and we had state fire marshal staff there as well.
Good.
Just
Good.
everybody was on the same page, and
Good.
I know they had to work some things out with their security vendor. The security requirements under the Cannabis Control Act are pretty significant. So it was a very important relationship, and I know they had to make a change
Okay.
in order to get to where they are.
Now, on that property, that parking lot property, because that pump is part of the water department or the sewer
Yes.
department?
Water.
But now it's town property. So that's good, because that was a good.
It's under our management now.
So long story short, there's the issue brewing. I stayed tonight to be at the zoning board meeting to listen to the discussion about it.
Oh, they were in there tonight?
Yeah, they're
Didn't realize that, okay.
meeting tonight. North Village puts a significant demand, so that's the 40B project
Yep.
up on North Street. Puts a significant demand, additional demand on the water main that runs up North Street, which is an 8-inch line. That 8-inch line feeds their installed line within their development, which is a 12-inch line.
Oh, okay, so that's a problem.
A little different.
So we're moving water, so the piece of the pipe that we just fixed as part of the bridge project,
Right.
the second
Right, it's 12
piece of the
inches.
bridge that we
Yeah.
fixed, is 12. So we have a 12 going to an 8, opening back up into a 12 at the top of the hill. There's going to be a lot of dialogue. I don't think anybody really has like a total grasp of all the relevant facts. So I won't speculate. I'll just say that whether it's a water tank, a booster pump, or
Something has to be
actually
done.
having to do the line and working with the water commissioners to creatively finance how that would be done, those are all on the table.
Okay.
From the economic development ideal perspective, what would we really want? We would really want a 12-inch
12-inch line.
line
Right.
Yeah.
to move, about 1,650 gallons a minute up there that we could loop around the back of the Pine property and back to the other side on Gilboa with a proper 12-inch line there as well. Would really open up the industrial land. Now, obviously, Pine is successful with his pit. His outlook is to continue to go down, not to take the elevations down, but to actually go down inside. So almost like a ring.
To mine.
And to mine it and to, get as much value of it as he can out before the mine starts to lose its value because it has little material left. It's at his choice. We really can't tell him what to do. It's not ideal.
No, we've already
The
here said.
ideal thing to do would be to, gradually bring it down
Right.
to the grade and so that people can really kind of visualize what that will be there.
But what I saw his plans the other night. It didn't look like he was going below the level of where the garage is now. I think what you're seeing on that going down is he's leaving some berms around that big hill that's going out there. I don't think.
If you want to call them berms, I mean, we could open a rappelling park.
Right.
What do they call that? Abseiling?
The zip, yeah, use some zip lines in there.
It's going to be
sure-
steep.
I'm sure that-
Those lines are real tight on that
But I'm
top hole.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is that the bottom level that he's going to is not lower than when, I think that garage was at 312, and I don't think he's going to 312.
Yeah.
But the rest of the property is all up, so I think he's just bringing a lot of that down,
Let
right?
me put it this way. If there's gravel in that rest of that property, it'll go eventually.
Well, because it's going gangbusters.
Right.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So, eventually, but in the meanwhile, he's probably leaving that kind of, it's like some type of protection for where you're digging.
Right.
Then eventually,
So we've kind of
It will
basically,
mitigate- It will mitigate some of the dust that we see
Right,
on windy
right.
days.
So
we
I'm
basically
thinking
said
that's
we're
probably what's
writing off
going on
Pine
now.
for probably a solid 5 or 8 or 10 years, depending on how long he's gonna take, and then we gotta get development in and all these other things. If it's sooner, great.
Yeah.
But we're not gonna go and sit here and harp on it for right now.
But that's realistic. And
Yeah.
we would be in a stronger position if we had proper water on both sides of it.
Fair enough. Isn't there, and I might be thinking of the 40B, but I thought that Ed at one point had told us there's a large chunk of property for sale was it next to 40B or behind Pine?
It's off of North
Like
Street.
18 acres, or is it? It was a
goes
decent
on the
chunk.
right-hand side that kind of backs up to Pine.
So there is something a little bit deeper behind Pine that is available that the owner wants to sell right now, I think.
Off of North Street, right, so there is something.
So there is stuff up that way, but
But if
So-
they,
My last update, I told my wife 30
yeah,
minutes
no
ago
worries.
I was on my way home.
Thank you for coming in.
I did have just sort of a general getting to know you meeting with the town manager in Uxbridge, who's relatively new. And I showed her on the map
Yeah.
where the town of Uxbridge owns substantial pieces of property on the Douglas side
right,
of Davis Street.
right.
And told her, we can send you a tax bill, you don't have to pay it. It's kind of the conclusion of our conversation that she had no intention of paying it. So, again, well, I don't know if I'll spend the postage, but the point would be, they have site control.
Yep,
We, the town of Douglas, own other significant parcels around.
Yeah.
This was telling me 16.
Yeah,
so we're done
okay.
with.
So that, we really want to continue to push that conversation forward as
Right.
quickly as we can,
you know,
for the same reason,
I
it's
don't
raw
understand what you
land.
said there. They own land in Douglas and they're not paying tax on it?
They're a municipality, so,
Municipalities don't pay tax?
It's like
No.
a church,
No,
Are you kidding me?
no.
non-profit organization.
the other thing too is, at one point, like that house where the Mennonites are now,
Yeah.
that was actually
That was
Douglas.
Douglas. Yeah.
And they came to us and they said, oh, we always lived in Uxbridge. We always thought we lived in Uxbridge. Our children went to school in Uxbridge. We want to stay in Uxbridge. So wouldn't you nice people just vote to let us be in Uxbridge? And we did. So I think that we were
is
pretty
that
nice
your
on
memory
that.
of it? Because I've heard a different story.
What did you hear?
That there was a congressman who wanted to be a resident of Uxbridge.
No. Because I'll tell you
I
why.
heard wrong
The guy
then.
that owned the
I'm gonna
land
go
was
back
my
to the
the guy
person who
that
told
owns
me that.
the guy that owned the land was my cousin.
Oh, okay.
So-
You would know then. Good thing I gotta always check with you on my.
You gotta check with me, I'm old, I've been married a long time. Yeah, it was Bud Seagrave, and before that, it was his parents that owned that property. And so, and I remember him actually even setting up a little thing over at the post office one day to talk to people and say, could you please, I've always lived in Uxbridge, which he always thought he did.
Yeah.
And,
So it sounds like you still have some negotiation with the Uxbridge town administrator.
Well,
over
we've
the years.
got, we've got work to do. There'll have to be, this visioning process would be helpful, because
I did see, and this might be hearsay, but I just saw coming out of the Uxbridge Facebook pages, they're trying to oust her right now, so I don't know where she's at with all
I
that.
know
but-
we're on camera
There's
here,
some-
right?
yeah,
She's
so.
a peer and a colleague, and I respect.
So I'm just
her.
saying, like, hopefully that things doesn't change over there. No, this is a bad thing. I'm saying, like, hopefully we can keep open dialogue and she's able to maintain that with us, so.
I'm comfortable saying this, that having a stable conversation partner, somebody we can make progress with and can trust will be there,
Exactly.
is really important for the process.
Yeah, we want to get something going.
Uxbridge has been having problems for years.
Yeah.
They can't seem to keep anybody there.
Okay.
So I wish you well. I
Yes,
hope
thank
to
you.
be able to come to your next meeting, even if just like this for a brief time, but that's pretty much the update. Now, we know that the application for Dunkin' Donuts is in process.
We just brought that up also.
They were
Yeah.
there, they were there last night.
Do they need help, or they're good, or any issues, you think?
I never asked them if they need help.
First time they did, by the way.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Is it
Well, all the dealings I've ever had with them in other places, they were
It is
always
Dun-
been just
it is
fine.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Is it the same people, or is it other people this time?
What's that?
Is it the same people that were trying to do it before, or is it someone new?
I don't think he
Yeah, I
was-
don't know. So,
he wasn't
yeah,
here the first time.
typically,
Yeah.
the franchisee is who we would need to build a relationship with.
Yeah, I,
The Family Fields has Dunkin' Donuts in it right across
well,
the street.
it'll move,
And it's up to corporate to smooth out what they're trying to do there.
Yeah.
yeah.
They get a lot more revenue out of a bigger building than I'm
Oh,
sure what they
yes.
are there.
A solo building
Yeah,
as
they-
opposed to a back room.
They were there last night with 3 lawyers and engineer and a traffic study person.
Should we reach out to them though and see if there's anything that we can do to smooth that process over for them?
I think they're moving away.
Let's Duncan, let's let Duncan go for a little
Yeah,
bit, and
they're not unsophisticated.
In general, because I used to do economic development in Woonsocket, which is a city, through the conceptual phases and the preliminary conversations, we always tried to be extremely helpful. Once an application was before a board, we started to just let the board do its work and not be
and it's in
involved.
planning right now, right?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Because at that point, and we can't be an advocate against the board has to enforce its rules and go through all that process. And we can help an applicant, but hopefully we would have done that earlier in the process.
Well, we didn't.
They're so,
Because we didn't know
but the
about
thing
it,
is,
right?
they're not babes in the woods. I think that's the
Right,
point that
right,
Carol's
exactly.
making.
They have a lot more experience than we do right now.
Right, right.
So-
You know, the only thing I've ever hoped for with, whether it's a CVS or a Dunkin' or, is that they tip their cap to the architectural style of
Right.
community they're in. I don't know if you're familiar with Cumberland, Rhode Island, but
Oh, yeah.
that's my hometown, and we prevailed on them to build a CVS structure with white clapboard out, you know, across the street from the historic chapel at
Yeah.
Four Corners.
Yeah.
Woonsocket at Chipman's Corner, partially because of a lawsuit, but also partially because it made sense that CVS has a different look from their standard footprint.
And Sturbridge has the same set of rules too.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, I don't know if that we don't have any formal regulations, but I would hope that we wouldn't need leverage like that,
Well,
but who knows?
I don't think we have a specific look in this town either, so.
But that's gotta be the
Well, I think you do.
That's gotta be
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
fire
go
station.
outside and come in, and
Right,
then you
right.
kind of see it.
Fair enough.
Especially here in East Douglas, you really
Look
do.
that we're going for? Is it like
Post-apocalyptic.
falling down,
No,
breaking
no,
everything?
no. You have a very
No.
Being
specific-
sarcastic.
There's a very specific period of time that is captured by your architecture here.
Okay. Well, Matt, thank you for showing up.
Thank you for being here. Welcome.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, off we go.
Appreciate you stopping by.
Have a good night.
See you, Lou.
Later.
And with that, anybody else, anything, or
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I second that. All in favor?
aye.
All right.
Aye.